Welcome, everybody. You're closer to home. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're one step closer to home.
Action.
Snap.
Oh, am I holding it?
You're gonna hold it.
Cool. I've never held one of these before.
To play with this. Time to donate.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Gabe Grant, and I'm a principal at Spectrum Development Solutions and the chair of the Bellwether Housing Board of Directors. Thank you for joining us for Bellwether's 10th annual Closer to Home virtual fundraiser. What a year. When we started planning this event almost 12 months ago, we reflected back on previous Bellwether events with luminaries like Nicole Hannah-Jones and Matthew Desmond. And we envisioned something equally resonant and thought-provoking. We envisioned being joined by friends and colleagues for our biggest event yet, to celebrate Bellwether's 40th anniversary as an organization. And we envisioned a delicious lunch of Washington State Convention Center chicken. Okay, that last part's not true. Seriously, I know that each and every one of you has had your plans and expectations for this year upended, just as Bellwether has. And yet, here we are, resilient and optimistic, that through our individual and collective actions, we can make a difference. Motivated to generously help our community and guided by our hearts and minds, which know that the well-being of our city and the health of our nation is ultimately a function of the humanity with which we treat our neighbors. So, thank you for being here. And we can still make this our biggest event to date because we aren't limited by physical space. Anyone, anywhere can join us today. In fact, I'd ask that you email or text a friend the link right now. Seriously, think of one person and invite them. Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay, nice work. Thanks for helping us spread the word. I'd like to take a moment to share my gratitude to the staff and board of Bellwether Housing. This has been a challenging year on so many levels, and I have repeatedly watched this team show up for each other, for our residents, and for the organization and our broader community. I've seen courageous leadership, generosity of spirit, and openness of mind. And I've been reminded that it is in our response to challenges and hardships that make us who we are. So in a way, it's fitting that Bellwether's 40th anniversary year should be one of adversity, because that is what has made this organization what it is today. It's believing in our mission and repeatedly overcoming challenges that has given us the determination to set bold goals, like bringing 2,500 more units of affordable housing online by 2025, and the fortitude to deliver on that goal. So here we are. Let's embrace it. Today's program will honor our past, celebrate our present, and envision our future. You'll get to know residents, staff, and supporters, and you'll learn how Bellwether is rising to the challenges presented by COVID-19. To get things started today, I want to thank those who have helped make this event possible. First, to our many sponsors. Their sponsorship means that all the money raised today will support the work Bellwether does to make our community a better place to live. I also want to thank our table captains who helped to champion this event by inviting so many of you to join us here today. We are so appreciative of your support of Bellwether and your enthusiasm around sharing the work that we do with your friends, family, and colleagues. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce Bellwether Housing CEO, Susan Boyd. Since becoming CEO almost 4 years ago, Susan has led Bellwether with courage, vision, and intelligence, and it has been a true privilege to work with her over that time.
Standing up at the podium for our traditional Closer to Home event is one of those times in the year when I am palpably reassured that we are in this together, that we share a common purpose to build a city where people of all incomes have a safe, stable, affordable home. I miss seeing your faces, but I am here on faith that you are out there, that you know our work in creating affordable homes is more important than ever. You know that housing justice is racial justice and economic justice, that our work now, made possible by your support, is more important than ever. And my faith does not feel like such a leap. Despite our social distance, I have had many encounters with you all this year. You have called with words of encouragement. You have provided us with masks, gloves, and supplies to keep our staff and residents safe. You have invested in our developments, and you have contributed to our rental assistance fund. So I know you are out there. I know that during this time when we need you more than ever, you will show up. Show up for our mission, for your community, for your neighbors. Thank you. I want to take a minute to honor 3 other groups of people who have inspired me this year: our Bellwether team, our board of directors, and our residents. First, the amazing Bellwether team. Every employee at Bellwether has gone above and beyond this year. Our maintenance and property management teams have been tasked with the unimaginable job of keeping our 32 buildings and 3,200 residents safe from a threat they cannot see and we barely understand. Our resident services team has worked tirelessly to make sure that our residents have access to food, financial assistance, and educational resources for their children. Our real estate development team broke ground on over 600 new affordable homes this year. Our fund development and communications team has all but completed a 3-year capital campaign in under 2 years and managed to launch a beautiful new logo. And despite unprecedented disruption, our accounting, human resources, and information technology teams have not missed a beat in providing the steady infrastructure and support the rest of us rely on to do our jobs. It's an honor to be part of this talented and committed team. Second, our board of directors. Though they have been denied the one opportunity for glamour and public recognition they would get in an ordinary year, standing up at an annual event and being recognized by you all, they have persisted. They have provided thoughtful and steady support and leadership through organizational realities they never imagined. I am so grateful for their generosity and dedication. And finally, our 3,200 residents who have shown great resilience in a time of remarkable personal challenges this year. Like low-wage workers everywhere, our residents have been slammed by the economic impacts of COVID-19. 40% of low-wage workers lost their jobs in March. Many of those that remain working are in public-facing roles, exposing themselves to health risks so that the essential work of society can continue. Our households with school-aged children have worked tirelessly to educate their kids in this remote environment, often while holding down other jobs. I'm inspired by all of you, our residents, our staff, my board of directors, and all of you out there who are in this with us. Thank you.
Home means family, it means support, it means certainty.
It's literally the place where I can go and stop working for once.
Home to us is wherever our family can gather.
Where I'm comfortable, where I feel at ease, I can sit down, put my feet up.
Home is a place that is a place where I can have peace.
Home for me is about the people that occupy that home with you. It's about a sense of place, it's about a sense of belonging.
A place where I can go and rest. It means a place where I can go and sort of cocoon if I've had a bad day.
Home means having a connection with the community.
You need house, you need life, you need family. So a house is important for me. So Bellwether Housing is like my home.
Safety, center, and family.
Home to me here at Bellwether means like community. It's a safe place. It's a place that you know that you'll have support.
Place I can go, relax, sit, just be myself.
Every day I'm so grateful that I have a home to come to, and Bellwether's provided me that opportunity.
To me, home is my world. I was born in Los Angeles, California. My mother, she got hit by a car when I was 2 years old, so I didn't know my mother too much. My dad was in and out of my life. I was raised by my grandmother. We moved to Las Vegas. I stayed there for 8 years in Las Vegas. And that's when I hooked up with my dad again in Las Vegas. And then he decided he wanted to move out here to Seattle because of the jobs. So we moved out here. We found a lot of jobs, but it was just the housing that was just so hard to get, you know. I was staying at a shelter in Bellevue. It was a church that was putting up homeless people for the night. They was handing out flyers for the HEN program. Signed up for the HEN program, and I found out about the Bellwether Housing, and boom, Cambridge Apartments. When I first moved in, I was happy. I liked it. It just felt like getting a brand new car. I got a key to my own place, and I can go in whenever, I can shut the world out when I get ready, leave everything behind. They found out that I was getting SSI, and they cut me off, and they said, "Oh, you can pay rent now." And the rent there is like close to $1,000. They sent me a thing in the mail saying that you lose your apartment because of your status with SSI.
Typical SSI, any kind of disability through Social Security, is only between $700 and $800. We found out that anyone that receives their Social Security or SSI, they are removed from the HEN program. He was going to be under in affording rent, and that was where the real panic came in about what are we going to do? He's going to end up being homeless again, and he just got his apartment and everything together.
It put me in turmoil. I told Alexia what was happening. I felt hopelessness, because I couldn't do anything. At the time, I couldn't think what to do.
We came to the mutual termination because that was a way to say that we both, Bellwether and the resident Dwight, mutually agree to end the lease with no consequences, so that if housing came up for him later, then he could be rehoused without any kind of a negative record. I still remember very vividly having that talk, and it was very hard. I think we were both tearing up. We had run out of options.
So I had to sell my bed. Tragic to me it was, because it felt like I lost everything, you know, and it was exhausting. Some people don't know that you can have one foot on the curb and have your other foot on a banana peel. It's just that easy to get homeless again. It's just that easy.
So when Bellwether found out what was going on, then I got a list from the site manager of anyone that was currently on the HEN program, and I checked in with all of them. There were several residents just at the Cambridge alone that were in the same boat as Dwight.
I see a lot of people that live out in the streets, and they seem like they lose it. They lose part of their self, you know? And that's what I was afraid I was gonna do, so.
My supervisor, Elliot, he did an interview with Crosscut, and the article was all about the HEN program and the reason that people were losing their housing and bringing that to light for the public that there was a gap in the system. Shortly after that article came out, Bellwether was notified that we would be receiving some SHA vouchers and some King County vouchers that we could offer to people that were on the HEN program. Susan, the CEO, comes out of her office and, she's like, "Did you hear the news?" And I was like, "Yes." My first question was, "So that means we can bring Dwight back, right?" and she just hugged me and she's like, "Yes, that means we can bring Dwight back." And I was like, "I'm calling him right now."
Alexa called me and said she had a voucher. And so I got my voucher and I got my apartment. And she's the one that practically saved my life. It's empowering, it had me crying. She's my hero. I haven't told her that enough, but she's my hero.
I think a lot of times what we call a success story is because there is usually something that was unsuccessful, but something that they triumphed from it and they were able to grow stronger. So I think that sums up Dwight's story perfectly.
I wasn't meant to be homeless, and this is why I got a place. Everything they took from me, I came and I got it back. It just took time, but I got it. I am very blessed to have a roof over my head. It means the world to me, staying in Cambridge Apartments. I'll probably stay there for a very, very long time.
Bellwether Housing for us means opportunity.
Bellwether is an essential organization for the health of our downtown and the health of our city.
Some days I feel like a superhero. I'm able to provide housing for people straight from shelter, from people with different backgrounds and situations.
I feel Bellwether is a lifeline for me, and it's the family I've never had.
It's really important for people to have affordable housing so that they can be more self-determined in the spaces that they know and be connected to community.
To me, Bellwether means opportunity and hope.
I think Bellwether Housing is paving the way.
I should not have to feel as though I cannot live somewhere because I'm not a part of a certain wealthy demographic. I'm not a part of the certain 1 or 2%. I think that it's just important for everyone to be able to live here.
The mission of Bellwether resonates with me because it signifies the fact that we care about the welfare of the community, providing opportunities to individuals to prosper and grow within the community.
To me, Bellwether Housing represents inclusion and empowerment. They fight to extend the privilege of home to those who otherwise would have been excluded from it.
It's a good place to live. Without Bellwether, I'd probably be on the street.
One of the things that I love about working with organizations like Bellwether is home is something that we all share. It's a common value that we all have, and you can talk about home with anyone. Every human being in the whole world relates to home.
The resident services coordinators are staff who are out on site working in our buildings directly with our residents, helping them with whatever it is they might need assistance with.
They help us with so many things and resources. They'll print out notices giving us, links where we can get things like diaper, baby clothes.
When the pandemic started, we realized very quickly we needed to pivot to really meeting fundamental needs on a large scale. For us, that was launching the meal delivery program and making sure that people had food on the table, but also making sure they were able to pay their bills, which is why we've spent so much energy helping people connect with rental assistance.
The meals program has been going on for over 14 weeks now, and on Tuesday alone we have about 550 meals going throughout the buildings.
We saw an opportunity working with several other housing providers to get funding to both support local restaurants who had essentially lost all of their business while also providing, healthy, high-quality food to our residents.
I am Chef Christy Brown, and I am co-owner and chef of That Brown Girl Cooks. We are a community kitchen. When COVID struck, beginning of March, I always tell people that catering was hit first. When we realized that catering wasn't going to be an option for some time, we had to figure out what was our answer going to be, not only just for our business, but for our employees. So we, along with 5 other entities, started a community kitchen effort. It's an effort to feed people not only their stomachs, but their souls. Bellwether reached out to us to talk about how we could help them feed their residents. And so we were all about that. Since we were already doing it, it really worked well for our business model and it helped us sustain jobs. When we first started, we needed the assistance just as much as the people that we're serving.
To date, we've distributed over 9,000 meals to our residents.
The food program is really beneficial for my residents. It helps my residents in a sense that they get nutritious meals, even though it's once a week. Hi, Patricia. How are you doing?
Fine.
Here's your meal.
Oh, thank you. Some people don't have food, you know, and when I get it, I eat it, and I just think it's fantastic. Healthy meals, that makes a big difference to everybody in the world, you know. Some people out there, they don't have this, you know, and I'm just glad that God, you know, chooses our building for somebody to help us.
I live with my baby, Amar, he's 2 years old. When this whole pandemic started, it was getting so hard even to, you know, to step out to go in the store. Those meals came in handy when I needed them most. I still need them.
And the meals program is not the same meals every week. It's totally different. It's a chance for our residents to try out different meals as well.
Every time Muslim brings them, I ask him, what's the name of this food? Then I'll go online, I Google the recipe and try and do it because they are very delicious meals. I love them. I look forward to Tuesdays.
I have residents who wrote notes saying that I know you are coming today. I really appreciate it. And I have residents who are waiting at the door, just waiting for my knocks at the door. It gives me a great feeling to know that what I'm doing is helping the residents.
I just want to say I'm so grateful and about especially this program, the food program. I hope it continues because it has really helped me so much.
Food is love. It's love on a plate. It feeds people's souls. It gives you sustenance to do what you need to do. It's everything.
One by one, residents were coming to me to tell me that they had lost income and lost their jobs. They've been laid off due to the pandemic.
In June, the Seattle Office of Housing made rental assistance money available for folks who had lost income or otherwise been impacted by COVID to help pay their rents. It's a fairly complicated process to get people through the application process. So we identified every single Bellwether resident who was eligible, who had delinquent rent, and just started aggressively reaching out to people to get these applications completed and help them get their rent paid.
Jillian is one of my residents. She came to me and said, I don't have work anymore. You know, she's a teacher and the schools were closing, the activities were closing, and her job was gone.
The thing that probably stands out most to me about where I live is my property manager, Amanda. She's just been so helpful, especially during the chaos of COVID. She's there to look out for me and she's checking in on me. She always greets me and my dog by name and will stop to say hi to Steve, which is just super sweet. Probably my favorite thing about living here is just feeling like I can be comfortable and at home and trust the people I'm around. Prior to COVID, my career was starting to take off in robotics. Just like any sports team, I coach various robotics teams. So the youngest teams in our organization go down to pre-K and the oldest are up to 12th grade. I remember being at a competition with my brand new high school team the last weekend of February fading into March. And we were there the day that we got the first case in Kirkland. I had another team I volunteered with that was supposed to be coming for a little younger kid expo, and they called me and they said, we're not coming, it's not safe. And I remember thinking, oh, this is kind of crazy. You know, there are people in masks, this seems really bizarre. And within a week, I had lost all of my work for a year and a half. COVID completely derailed my life, like it has many people. It became really clear early on that I wasn't gonna be able to pay my rent.
We had to figure something out. I was able to connect Jillian with our resident services coordinator and find some resources into getting some funding from the Seattle Office of Housing, from other agencies in the area.
It was really stressful, and every time I did get stressed out, Amanda was there to help me out and tell me that she was gonna find assistance for me. And as someone who was wildly stressed out, it made a huge difference. In this time where people are stressed out and their landlords are treating them really poorly and their property managers are treating them incredibly poorly, I had a support team behind me.
It feels really good to be able to help and just to see that we can just take that off their plate.
My staff have a really strong sense of purpose. It's been really inspiring to see them step up to these new challenges. Being able to deliver meals and provide rental assistance has been some of the most important work that Bellwether has ever done. That work isn't over though, and the need will just continue as this crisis goes on.
It's a really big deal for Bellwether to come in and provide the stability that's helped keep us going.
For me, Bellwether is opportunity. It's hope. Anytime you're supporting Bellwether, you're supporting people who are trying and who have had struggles, and I think it shows an incredible amount of empathy.
When you have access to affordable housing, you don't have to worry about scraping by to make sure there's a roof over your head. You can breathe easy. You can affordably take care of your other financial obligations without worrying about, am I gonna have enough for rent this month? Am I gonna get a notice on my door? Because it is not affordable in this city.
I value the fact that, you know, I have everything I need, and that's really what motivates me to be interested in making sure that the rest of the folks that I live in community with also have the opportunity to have those things as well.
I was a homeless youth at 17 years old. I turned 18 and I couldn't afford to get market rate housing, and I also couldn't qualify due to me not having any rental history. I walked into Bellwether's office and was able to get a unit for $385 a month, no utilities, and so it offered me freedom to live in a nice building and not have to pay that much rent.
Having access to affordable housing is essential. In the time that I've lived in this city, 10 years, seeing the dramatic increase. And affordable in Seattle sometimes still isn't affordable, but Bellwether has made really good options to help residents and people live in areas that not only may not have been accessible, but also open up new opportunities to people.
I choose to work at Bellwether because I get to have a positive impact on the lives of people who haven't had the same opportunities that I've had.
To me, Bellwether Housing is home. It's home to the people who live in its affordable apartments, who can get to what they need, whether it's jobs, transit, medical care, schools, parks. And Bellwether is the people who work there as well, who care for the people who live in the apartments and who care for the community.
There's a lot of housing that's available, but not for people like me. And there's more people like me in this city right now that need affordable housing than there are people who could afford those units that are available now. They live elsewhere.
I've lived in Seattle for almost 25 years now, and I live now over the last 15 years or so on a fixed income, on Social Security income. And I really appreciate being able to have an affordable apartment. Seattle's become a very expensive city to live in, and without affordable housing, I don't know where I would live.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Be sure and say hi in the chat bar. And please consider making a donation to Bellwether. You can donate anytime while you're watching, or you can donate by following the link below, or you can send a check to Bellwether at the address below. Your support is very much appreciated. Thank you.
In 2019, Bellwether Housing launched Building Opportunity, a campaign to raise $9 million to build 750 new apartments through donations, grants, and impact investments. The campaign, which was originally set to span 3 years, hit several milestones in its very first year. As the first nonprofit organization in the country to raise money for affordable housing through federal crowdfunding regulations, Bellwether attracted 180 investors, including individuals, foundations, and private businesses, who ultimately contributed $4.7 million to the Building Opportunity Fund, with investments ranging from $500 to $1 million. The philanthropic arm of the campaign, which aims to raise $4.5 million, got a significant boost when Amazon agreed to match its employees' donations and investments. The Gates Foundation provided a $1 million lead gift to the campaign as well. By December, the campaign had raised $4 million, far exceeding fundraising expectations. We have just $500,000 left to raise. And more importantly, we're beating our goal of 750 units, with 4 projects totaling almost 800 new affordable homes in 3 Seattle neighborhoods: First Hill, Roosevelt, and Rainier Beach, as well as in Tukwila, which is also experiencing population growth, escalating rents, and a need for affordable housing. All these developments are near light rail and public transit, and a host of other community resources. We are thrilled by the support we have received, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you who has supported the campaign.
I want to tell you something about where we've been over the past year and where we are headed. In late 2019 and early 2020, what seems like an epoch ago, our board and staff leaders were finalizing and ultimately adopted an ambitious 5-year strategic plan. This plan calls for us to create at least 2,500 new homes by 2025, more than doubling our current portfolio. It emphasizes the need to build the infrastructure and workforce we need to prepare for and sustain this growth. It calls for us to set new standards of financial and environmental accountability and sustainability. And finally, it requires us to be deeply centered on the residents and communities in which they live in everything we do. In the early months of this strategic plan, and in the face of emotional turbulence this year has brought, we might have been tempted to retreat, to give ourselves permission to step back from these goals. But we know that access to stable, affordable housing is more important than ever in building a healthy community. And we know the critical role that affordable housing plays in achieving racial equity. So we are not retreating. We are not stepping back. We have recommitted to this ambitious plan, and we are making progress on it. Just some of the ways in which we are living into our strategic plan this year include building at a new scale, starting construction on 2 buildings that are twice as big as anything we've ever developed before. We are entering new geographies with our first building outside Seattle in the city of Tukwila. We are deepening investments in resident services to make sure that our residents and their families' basic needs are met during this challenging time. And we're investing in technologies that will improve remote information flow between residents and property management and across departments, improving public health and safety, allowing us to make better informed decisions, and creating efficiencies that prepare us for growth. This coming year will be very challenging for us financially. But with your support and the energy and commitment of our incredible Bellwether team and community partners, you can expect a lot from us. We will continue to create new housing in neighborhoods where families have access to great schools, jobs, transit, parks, and libraries. We will launch a strategy to acquire buildings in neighborhoods where low-income households face a high risk of economic displacement from their communities. We will continue to advocate for the policies and resources we need to ensure that everyone in this region has access to safe, affordable housing. And as we live out our 40th year of existence, we remain more committed than ever to our mission of building diverse, vibrant, and equitable communities through affordable housing. I now get to introduce you to one of those people in this community who shares our mission and whose energy and commitment to that mission is infectious and inspiring. Suresh Chanmugam.
Hi, my name is Suresh. I live in Seattle with my wife Margaret and our 3 children. I work as a software engineer at a tech company headquartered in downtown Seattle, And I'm a board director at Tech for Housing, a community of tech workers who believe that the tech boom can and should benefit every resident. When I moved to Seattle from New York 20 years ago, my rent for a bedroom in a shared house in the University District was only about $250 a month. The cost of housing has risen so dramatically since then that someone who earns minimum wage now needs to work about 80 hours a week to afford a typical one-bedroom apartment. Skyrocketing housing costs and the pandemic have impacted everyone who's not privileged, like myself and my wife, who have well-compensated jobs that can be carried out online. Our children's after-school childcare provider struggled to afford housing on her own after leaving a relationship recently. Her income was too high to qualify for Seattle public housing, and frustrated with paying increasing rents without building up housing equity and stability, she ended up homeless, sleeping in her car. I looked for solutions to this humanitarian crisis and found Bellwether Housing. My family and I support Bellwether Housing because they are the leader in our region in providing affordable housing, and they have a 40-year proven track record of doing so. Today, we have seen how Bellwether Housing is supporting residents during the pandemic. Whether it's providing meals, helping obtain rental assistance, or advocating for policy change to keep more people in their homes, Bellwether has risen to the challenge of keeping families housed and healthy. But this challenge isn't over. COVID-19 continues to disrupt the lives of so many, highlighting glaring social disparities across race and class. Bellwether serves people who have been excluded or left behind because of racism and income inequality. Everyone Bellwether serves is low income, and at least 50% of the residents are Black, Indigenous, and people of color. We don't know how long the current emergencies are going to last. We don't know when our communities will recover. We do know that this pandemic is only increasing wealth disparities among race, gender, and class. Bellwether is committed to ensuring the people who live in their buildings remain housed throughout this crisis and beyond. Now more than ever, they need our support. Every dollar raised today helps provide stable homes in these chaotic times. Please dig deep and give generously. Donate by following the links below. Thank you.
After nearly 40 years of success and growth, Bellwether Housing is the Pacific Northwest's largest nonprofit affordable housing provider. But how did it all start? In the late 1970s, Seattle was coming out of the economic nosedive dubbed the Boeing Bust, and business leaders were looking for a way to revive their city. Virginia Anderson, one of the first women of the Seattle Downtown Association Board of Directors, was one of those leaders.
I was invited to join the board of Downtown Seattle Association in 1979, I believe, and then we started this comprehensive planning process for downtown, and I was asked to chair the housing committee of that. Following that decade of loss, and fear about, is the city going to survive? We come to a time of redefining and having to go, whoa, what does it mean to be a successful city? Diversification of the economy was huge. The chamber was taking a big lead in that. We, the Downtown Seattle Association, were saying, what would a successful downtown look like as we go forward?
The committee began to research how to go about creating a modern city. They looked at different cities like New York and Chicago to determine what role housing would play in the revitalization of downtown Seattle.
And so our committee was unraveling all these urban design issues and economic issues and saying, what kind of downtown do we want to be living in? How do we build an urban core? All of those were on the table because we'd had a decade of destruction of the economy that gave us an opportunity.
The committee met for months and months to study and discuss, coming up with recommendations centered around the need for affordable housing downtown. One recommendation was to create a nonprofit private organization backed by the DSA to start the development of affordable housing.
I asked for a vote and said there is nothing the committee's going to do differently. We need to vote up or we need to vote down.
but this is the recommendation of the committee. And at that point, in a very rare, if not unheard of, divided vote, they approved going forward with the whole committee plan, which included the creation of Seattle Housing Resources Group that then became Bellwether.
The Seattle Housing Resources Group, or SHRUG as it was affectionately called, was born. In order to create this new nonprofit, they were going to need the funding to do so. They developed a budget and decided they would need $250,000 a year for 3 years. The group raised the money, but for the first 2 years, things were in turmoil.
The person who was secretary went on vacation, and I was asked to sit at her desk. And I got to look at the checkbook, and I noticed that they didn't have hardly any cash in the bank, but that they had $60,000 coming due very shortly. I was like, interesting. How are we going to get out of this? And from there, I got very involved.
Nancy Smith joined SHRUG in 1982 as its second executive director.
So we had to figure out how to take some of those things that were real challenges and either decide not to do them, which in some cases we did, or bring them to fruition. We shared offices with the Downtown Seattle Association. I had a desk in that office, and they had another desk, and as I hired a couple of people, they both used the same desk. So it was a very minimum organization.
I was chairing the board at that time, and we had not produced a unit of housing, and we knew it was make it or break it. And 908 Jefferson was our first ever building. We needed to create something by the end of the 3 years where the business community could kick the tires, could come see it, walk through, know what could actually happen and that we could produce. And that enabled us to go for the next 3 years of funding.
With Nancy Smith's leadership, the board, and a community committed to making this work, the 908 Jefferson Rehabilitation Project was completed in 1982 with 26 units. And this was the first of many projects.
I worry sometimes on affordable housing that we want to solve problems in our world and be done with them and put them away. And it really is the work of humanity to just keep working on this. And Bellwether Housing has committed itself for 40 years.
We brought a lot of commitment to doing the affordable housing. We brought persistence, we were resourceful, we were nimble, and we cared deeply.
40 years of smiling faces, 40 years of creative partnerships, 40 years of innovation and getting it done.
It's 40 years of leadership within the affordable housing community in Seattle.
Bellwether just keeps doing its work year in, year out, adjusting to funding changes, adjusting to priority changes. They keep doing the work. We will always have families who need housing that they can afford to create stability for their families, for themselves, for their jobs, to move the society forward.
Marie and I support Bellwether Housing because we believe in their mission. And as a board member for the last 5 years, I've seen firsthand how effective the organization is at what it does. On a more personal note, when I grew up, I saw the impact affordable housing can have on families. My father and a group of community leaders brought the first affordable housing project to Othello, the small Eastern Washington farming community where I grew up. 2 of my best high school friends grew up in those houses and went on to become the first members of their family to graduate from college. Bellwether Housing has had the same effect on thousands of families over the past 40 years in the Seattle area. That's why Marie and I support Bellwether Housing, and we hope you support them also. Thank you.
In what seems like a complete different lifetime, I was sort of your proverbial starving artist, living in a city where I really couldn't afford to live. And over the past 20 years or so, I've owned and managed a local community yoga studio in the area. And over the years, I've had any number of awesome teachers, amazingly skilled teachers, who've had a difficult time finding a way to afford living in the Seattle area. So they too work passionately in a career that really doesn't offer the kind of salary that's necessary for being able to live reasonably close to where you work. And the housing that Bellwether provides is really critical in helping make our communities more inclusive, more vibrant, more equitable, and ultimately creating a better place for us all to live.
Our family gives to Bellwether because we know we won a lottery card. We know that we are fortunate and that access to a safe, stable home from which to build a life foundation should not be a matter of luck. And until everyone in our community has access to safe, decent, affordable housing, we will continue to give our time and financial support to helping Bellwether. It's our responsibility, and we are hoping that our kids will grow up understanding that as well. Why Bellwether? That's easy. We don't just build housing, we provide homes with a focus on quality, inclusion, partnership, and community. And as a leader in this space, we do it in a way that pushes the envelope on innovation and creative approaches to leveraging limited resources to create fantastic communities.
Our society has a moral obligation to house people in safe, affordable, convenient places. I support Bellwether because it's doing things that are so important for our community, so important for low-income individuals. We need to provide more housing that people of low income can afford, that people of low income can live in near their jobs, not spend hours commuting back and forth away from their families. We need housing for all people in this community, and Bellwether is the group of folks who get it done.
We've lived in Bellwether Housing for over 11, probably 12 years.
We live in a 3-bedroom apartment with 5 people, me, my mother, 2 brothers, and my father.
And
my cat.
I think affordable housing has allowed us opportunities that we would not have otherwise had available to us.
I've been able to go to private school and have the money to participate in my classes.
And I've also been able to
pursue opportunities at college. I'm the first college graduate in my family.
I know a lot of children that live in Bellwether housings. And I think that it's really important for children to be able to get a better education, be able to not be worried about if their parents are going to be able to afford their housing. And I think Bellwether has allowed that for not only me, but a lot of other children.
None of our lives would be the same without affordable housing. It makes those opportunities attainable for us.
My name is Kai, and this is my daughter Kitoko, and my son Kari, and we live in Bellwether Housing. Bellwether Housing means so much to me. First and foremost, I traveled over 3,000 miles to get here from Jamaica, and so far Bellwether Housing has been so good to myself and my 2 children. My children feel very safe here. I feel very safe, and they're very hospitable. Anything that is needed, they always provide. They have a very comforting way about making us feel at home, especially being so far away.
I'm a native New Yorker, born in Manhattan in the Upper West Side. When I came here, I met someone and I was in a relationship, but it was a very physical and bad relationship, and we just didn't connect. After a really bad fallout, I became homeless. And I was in the shelter one day and I saw this actually pamphlet or a poster said, Bellwether, they do lease events. And that's when you go in and look at some apartments, see which ones you like, you fill out the lease and you submit it with all your documentations, hoping that you could get and land an apartment. I met Kaya, she's the resident manager, she's freaking amazing, so my French. She's great. She made me feel extremely welcome. And she helped me, she really did. She told me how to do what I need to do, the right paperwork, how to present it, where to go, how to put it together. So I was very lucky that I had someone to literally show me the way to do that so I can get it all done the right way. I've never felt so appreciated and happy that I'm not alone. And I didn't feel alone after that. And so I've been here for 2 years and it's just been amazing. It's been a very, very good 2 years. Without you donors, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I'm the most happiest guy right now. And I'm afraid because I'm so happy I'm gonna die right now. Because that's just the way it is. Nothing good happens to me. And things are happening to me really great. My career is excelling. I've never been so happy. And I'm very fortunate because I feel healthy. And that's extremely important. So donors, thank you so much. Don't stop donating. We need people like you. And one day, maybe I could be in that situation where I can donate too.
Thank you for your support.
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 Thank you, sponsors.
1, 2, 3. Thank you! And a huge thanks to our visionary sponsors, Amazon, Turner Construction, U.S. Bank, Walsh Construction Company. You stepped up. You are what community is in this community, and we appreciate your support. Thank you. And a big thanks to our champion sponsors, Bank of America, Citibank, Goodman Real Estate, Holland Partner Group, JP Morgan Chase & Company, SMR Architects, Umpqua Bank, Union Bank, Urban Renaissance Group, and Washington Federal Bank. We appreciate all you do and all the support you give Bellwether. Thank you.